I'm actually just being, as far as the kids are concerned, the wolf in the story, you know. And when I'm reading stories to my son, you know, whatever, that's how I do it. That doesn't, you know, I'll have children's services round, but I, you know, that's, I do, you know, when I'm the wolf, you know.
Where did it all go wrong, son?
You have no idea.
It's very good to see you.
Good to see you.
I'm going to start with the big question.
Okay.
Was it yourself or Kevin Harvey that was throwing up after the waltzers scene?
Oh, it was Kevin Harvey, actually. Poor Kevin. I was very lucky in that I'm all right with spinning. I'm not so good up high. But I'm all right with spinning. I quite like waltzers. But poor Kevin. And I mean, you know, all joking aside, he gives a hell of a performance, given that he was struggling with the motion sickness. You know, he's great in that scene.
Absolutely, but you both were. I mean, your face in particular, which come on.
Yeah.
If that would have been me, I'd have been exactly the same as Kevin.
Right. Yeah. No, I think he did a fucking sterling job considering the circumstances, because he really did from very early on as well. I mean, it was a genuine. He wasn't making a fuss over nothing. He was throwing up into the bucket, you know. So, God, you know, and every time we did it 8 or 9 times, and he was like, "Yep, sure, we'll go again." And then pick again. You know, he's a soldier, that fella.
Blimey. Well, they say sometimes you suffer for your art, don't they? Poor chap. Knowing that it was Paul Andrew Williams that had written and directed this, did you sign on before you'd seen the script, or did you still? Yeah, he was straight away.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'd seen it, but I knew I'd worked with Paul very briefly before. We were sort of friends, and I'd been to screenings of his stuff and hung out and chatted a fair bit, and whatever he was doing, I wanted to do it. So the fact it was a fucking great script, great gift of a part, you know, the sort of part you want to play when you're particularly a young man. You're like, oh, I hope I get to do the Clint Eastwood role. You know what I mean? Essentially. So yeah, it was just a great combination of both, really. But I would have done anything for Paul, actually, genuinely.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm glad you said the sort of Clint Eastwood role, because that was my immediate gut reaction when it finished. I got some Eastwood vibes from some of the visuals, but also in terms of the story itself and how that unfolds. And obviously, I don't want to give too much away for those that still haven't seen it yet, but there's obviously that side of things, and I thought instantly of kind of High Plains Drifter.
That was the first film Paul mentioned to me when he sent me the script.
Yeah, I mean that came to mind, and it's a key thing, I guess, in terms of what interested you about the part as well. Once you'd read the script, did you get even more excited once you'd finished reading it? Because it's more than just that kind of Clint Eastwood role. It is a kind of a sort of study of violence and
Well, I mean, it's like in what he did with London to Brighton, where he kind of used the genre of the chase movie, but then he roots it in reality and naturalism and uses that to subvert, doesn't he? That's Paul's thing. And it's like a revenge movie, but, you know, and as you say, I don't want to give away too much, but doing the same thing, just making it about something that feels real, feels empathic, feels relatable. But has still got those sort of genre elements. Made me think as I was reading it, I'd love to see this film. You know, this is the kind of film I'd enjoy watching. And then really, the minute you're playing the part and you're having to apply yourself to the character, it becomes all about that and building backstory and context of it, scene by scene. It all changes. But I knew that it was going to be special.
You Marco's boy.
Yeah?
Go home and tell your dad Bull's here.
No, Adam says he's seen Bull.
No, it ain't Bull. Bull's gone.
One of the things that, for me personally, anyway, I've found with your performances is that you tend to be at your strongest. You know, your best performances, in my opinion, have come from, you know, some very dark material. And I'm talking very specifically about Bull and Kill List. What is it that, as an actor for you, what is it that kind of draws you into that? What do you think it is about that material that elicits that kind of peak performance?
I don't know. These parts that come to me, I'm surprised. I don't really see myself in that. You know, I'm not violent. I'll do almost anything to avoid a physical confrontation with people, and I definitely don't want to have a punch up with anyone. I'll give you, you know, I'll pay you now to make sure I don't ever have to do that ever again. Not as an actor, but as a man, you know. And so it's strange, really, that this stuff comes my way. There must be something about my demeanor or what I look like or something that makes people think that, you know, I've got that in me. Yeah, I don't know, really. And in a way, it's something I don't like to think too much about, because I think you can become, it's a bit like, you know, they say that you can really ruin an actor's performance on stage by saying, I really like what you're doing with your hands in that scene last night. You know, all of a sudden it's like, what are these? You know, and it's a similar thing. I don't try to think too much about why that's convincing, because I feel like I'll end up overplaying it or doing it too much, you know. But yeah, I don't know. I like playing those parts. I've always got a lot from it and learned things about myself and acting through playing them. But I'm not sure why they might be more successful than other things. I don't know.
Say, you know, for me, you've been highly effective. And one of the things I wanted to ask you about is one of the key scenes where you do the sort of daddy pig thing.
Yeah.
And you know, the way that you come across is truly chilling. I'm assuming the kids were quite happy. You weren't sort of putting the fear of God into them either.
Yeah, well, if you look at that scene and just think about it through a child's eyes, there's nothing I'm doing that's particular. It's only because you as the audience know that I'm killing people and coming after people. But I'm actually just being, as far as the kids are concerned, the wolf in the story, you know. And when I'm reading stories to my son, you know, whatever, that's how I do it. I hope that doesn't, you know, I'll have children's services round. But I, you know, you know, when I'm the wolf, you know. And I think the context the audience see it in, you go, oh, that's scary. But actually, it's a perfectly normal way to be, you know, to be doing that.
Yeah.
And they were fine. I got on great with those kids. They were lovely, lovely kids, them two. They were so great, so full of life. They just enjoyed it. It was like they didn't even know they were on a job. The way their mum made it a fun day out and not about filming the scene. She was like the opposite of a stage mother, you know. We were so lucky with them and with Henry, who plays my son in it. We were really, really lucky with them and their parents. That they were sort of fully on board. But honestly, I mean, if you do get a chance to see the film again, or you ever watch it again, just think about it in those terms. And I think it works on both levels. I think it's an all right kid's wolf, as well as when you know that I might well, you know, cut Dave Nellis's head off. It's makes it a bit scarier.
Who are you?
I'm the big bad wolf.
Talking about interaction with, you know, the other actors. You're sharing a lot of scenes with David Hayman, and you know he's been around the block a long time. He's also one of these actors that can be incredibly menacing on screen. Did you or have you sort of watched and studied him before, and did you learn anything on the job with him?
Yeah, loads. I mean, you know, he did A Sense of Freedom. The Jimmy Boyle film was his first film, David Mackenzie. And I love The Long Good Friday, and that was Mackenzie's film, the next one after. So I'd seen that and loved it. And I also actually, and I think this took David by surprise on the first day, where I'd seen a film he directed called Silent Scream. It's a great prison movie, sort of late 80s, early 90s, with Ian Glenn in the lead, which is a fucking great film, really underrated, sort of almost forgotten British movie that has got really unusual elements of like animation in it and stuff. So I was just full of questions. He was a bit, I think, overwhelmed and a bit freaked out by me when I first turned up. And this and that, and you make this. And I remember that. And, you know, and I knew that he'd been involved with 784. That was a theatre company that I'm sort of slightly obsessed with, that I was a bit young to see the work of, but that I've read a lot about. In the meantime, it was like the kind of socialist collective that chimes with my politics and approach to art. And yeah, so I had a lot of stuff I wanted to know. As I say, he got a little bit, I think David was like, who the fucking hell is this geezer? So yeah, I had a few too many questions, I think, for the first couple of days that we worked together. And then he was so great, just rock solid. You know, what he's not is an over actor. You know, he's very aware of his own power. He's very aware of his abilities and the weight that he's got, despite being a relatively small man. You know, he's somehow a physical match for me in the scenes, even though I'm a bigger guy than him. You know, you buy that. He's still this terrifying force of nature. So yeah, you can't help. Well, I was so lucky across the board with the actors. You know, we talked about Kevin Harvey before, but Jay Simpson, who's like the heroin dealer, Jake Davis, who was the smackhead who I have the confrontation with in the toilets, Davy Nellis, who's, you know, Lois, who's playing my wife, Tams, and it was just like, it was such a gift. It was like, you know, you were going up against people who were absolutely mustard all day, every day. There was no one who you were like, oh, you know, this actor I'm going to have to do all the work for. Do you know what I mean? And actually, a lot of the time, it meant I didn't have to do very much at all, because people were just bringing that level of fear or whatever their responses were to ball. It meant I had to do very little, really. I was really, really fortunate, really fortunate.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right in terms of, obviously, by the sound of it, you know, the people around you that made the job easier. And
That's Lois's first film, by the way. Who plays my wife? That's her first film. What a fucking performance, you know.
Oh, that's good. No, yeah. She was really good. So I wasn't aware of that. So that's really, really interesting to know, because I totally agree. She was really good. She was really good. Yeah. And I'm wondering if maybe some of the pressures from the shoot had maybe brought you all closer together, because I know it was shot during sort of COVID protocols, but you only had 18 days across, was it 36 locations, I think? Yeah. And to try and cram all that in at the same time, you must have had to have really come together. Yeah,
there was real camaraderie on it. There generally is on low budget stuff, you know. It's like that. There is a sense of us all being in it together and whatever, and that was definitely true of this one. And people just obeyed the rules, understood that the people who were having to enforce whatever the rules were just doing their job and weren't, you know, the enemy. People were really respectful of each other and of everyone's role on the set. It was a great atmosphere. You'd get every one of those people back together to do it again, you know. It was great.
Perfect. I know we're almost out of time. One final question. I know you made your directorial debut last year with Clockenluder. When are we going to see it? What stage are you at?
So it's cut, it's finished, it's done. I've got the movie. We're just waiting to see what festival it will premiere at in Europe and North America, and then hopefully we'll have a release either this year or beginning of next year for people to see it. I'm really, really pleased and proud of it, and I hope people find it funny and thrilling is the idea. So and you know, compelling. And yeah, I think, as I say, I would hope it will certainly play festivals this year, and then hopefully get a release end of the year, beginning of next year.
Brilliant. Well, I look forward to seeing that, and hopefully I'll be able to speak to you in the future about that.
I'd love to, yeah.
Really appreciate that. Good luck with the home release of Bull, and it was a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, great to chat, man. See you soon.
Watching you, Bull.
Spin it like you're trying to kill us.
Things to do, my friend.